thanks for joining us today. We're our HSO partner to Increase. We're going to talk through their solution to, as it says here, achieve lifetime data reliability and compliance. So with me, I've got colleagues from To Increase, Pieter Willem, Moraine, Eric, and Sumitra. I think at least them, perhaps more. And they're an ISV partner of ours. So ISV is independent software vendor, depending on which definition you look at. So what they're going to talk through is a little bit about how they work with us as a partner, a bit about why the product exists in contents of Dynamics and master data management, and how their solution addresses a lot of the issues, and possibly with a very quick look at some of the screens, time allowing. So with that, I will pass over to my colleagues.
Yeah, let's kick things off. I think still people are dropping in. Everyone very much welcome. So we already briefly walked through this one. You know who's talking from our side. I'm here together with my colleague Eric, and we'll talk to a few slides. And again, like Chris mentioned it, hopefully the time allows for a few little insights in our solution in D365. Then who are we as a company? Again, we are To Increase, originally a Dutch company, but spread our wings and are now in about 45 countries. We were in business for about 18 years and about 210 people. One thing that we are very proud of is that we've practically always been part of the Microsoft Inner Circle, so very close collaboration with Microsoft that allows for always make sure that our solutions are up to date prior to the release of a new version. So that's where you can benefit from that. Then what do we do as a company? We have a few industry verticals that we focus on which one is manufacturing, where we have an end-to-end solution for advanced discrete manufacturing companies. We have equipment as a service as our vertical, where we have a complete solution for rental companies, but also manufacturing companies. And we have our life science, where we have many different solutions where we focus on pharma companies, biotech companies, and medtech companies. Those are not topic of today. Today we are discussing our data management and analytics side of the business. And here you can see how it's sort of a horizontal solution, meaning that you can apply it basically to any industry. And here we're going to share a little bit more on how to achieve lifetime data reliability. Before we do, a few words on the collaboration we have together with HSO. Again, both Dutch companies from origin, but active in multiple countries. And again, both HSO and To Increase closely working together in multiple companies throughout Europe, but also outside Europe. I'm currently working on a project together with HSO New Zealand, but also active in North America. So very close and broad collaboration that I think we can be proud of. Then moving towards what we currently see in today's market. We see many different struggles and challenges, and it kind of relates to where customers are moving towards. If we look at a few years ago where there was way more of sort of an ERP focus, ERP centralized focus, and most partners acting as really like an ERP implementing partner, we currently see customers sort of moving away from that and choosing more best-in-class solutions, having a more holistic view on different solutions, and partners, system integrators really act as integrators in that perspective. And that brings along a few challenges. We see, for instance, integrations making or causing some challenges for some customers. Security is one of the topics that's closely related to that particular challenge, and also data governance, what's mainly the topic of today's session. Then data governance and data reliability. So it's practically master data that we are talking about. And then there are, in our eyes, basically 3 different options in which you can manage your master data. And there's no good or bad. That just depends on your customer situation. You can have like a system, like an NDM system, completely outside D365, where you connect to, for instance, ERP, but also CRM, maybe a PLM system, warehouse management system. yeah, that's an potential option if you maybe have also multiple ERP systems where there's no true hierarchy between the systems. What we can see from that, it's a little bit more challenging to set up. It's a little bit more complex and most of the time also a bit more expensive. Then we have on the other side, we have the scenario where we focus a little bit more on, where you have sort of your ERP system as your main data structure. So we sort of leverage from the ERP as your MDM data system. And from there, we connect to also CRM, WMS, PLM system, maybe manufacturing system, and really govern the data from there. Still, it can be created in any system, but again, the single source of truth can become your ERP. Those are the two first ones. And the third is actually a combination of both, where you have also a separate MDM system, but when the data comes into your D365 system, some enrichments need to be made, some validations need to be done, maybe some distribution needs to be done across the different legal entities. And from there, it goes to maybe, again, your CRM system, just as an example. So these are sort of the systems or sort of the scenarios that we're looking into. Then if you look at lifetime data reliability, it's all about where does the data start. And if data comes into your ERP system from another system, you have an integration that needs to be established. And we can see a few different challenges if you need to establish an integration. And it's closely related to the data management framework, where you have multiple entities to choose from, and you're sort of bound by the fields that are in there. So either you need to combine these entities or you need to develop your own entity. And of course, that brings the flexibility on one hand. On the other hand, it takes time, costs money. And if you need to change it, again, it takes time and money. It's also sometimes a little bit challenging to manage higher volumes of data. It can be a little bit less stable, and it can sometimes be a little bit slow. I already mentioned this one, sort of the cycle that's with the rework cycle, and potentially more data can come into D365. And it's also always a challenge with the data management framework, especially if you want to rely on the standard entities. If you have customizations or ISV solutions in your system, it can bring additional complexity to it. These are challenges that we encounter with all the different customers that we have across the globe, but also with many different partners that we have. So these topics are, where we can help you and where we can address this. And data quality challenges. So when data comes in through an integration, or it can come in through a migration, for instance, or just ordinary people just typing in the information into D365, in any scenario, data quality can be a challenge. And this slide is mainly as a reference, but it practically talks to how do you get the data in the correct way? Do you want to have a workflow? How do you share the data across the different companies, again, in D365, but also across the other solutions that you have, maybe CE, maybe Power Apps? How do you want to work with validation rules? Is it something that you want to customize? So in many words, it can be a challenge. If you manage that correctly, a lot of reliance on that. So if you manage it correctly, business process execution works a lot better. Accurate reporting and regulatory compliance, all very important aspects from having accurate data in your system. Then what do we do? What do we offer in order to cover all this, to help you with this? Where we have one platform, it indicates that it's outside D365, but it's an embedded solution inside D365 with all its pros. And if you look at sort of your internal IT system, where you have maybe a former ERP of a separate ERP, maybe another third-party system, it can help you to, for instance, migrate data to D365. Not really the topic of today, but it is one scenario how data gets into D365 and where you want to already start governing your data. Also, when you have D365 and you still have your former ERP or maybe a different ERP, maybe you want to sync master data across to your legacy ERP system. Then if you have multiple companies or maybe multiple different legal entities in D365, you want to integrate with them, or you maybe want to share data, master data across these different legal entities. Next to that, if you look at the IT system outside of your own, you maybe want to have an EDI integration. Also not really the topic of today, but in our experience, we do a lot of EDI projects. Those run smoother when you have your master data in check. So they are very closely related, and you can manage it from this complete package of solutions. Of course, you pay just for what you use, but it's a complete stack of solutions, and this is really what we focus on in order to manage this correctly with companies. And talking about managing, there's like an app with that to have a true insight in all of these integrations, messages, and such going along. So what we've done, we've defined 4 different steps. So if you look at your D365 environment, we have 3 different applications with 4 different steps, in which the first one is data entry workflow, where you have a workflow that you can configure. So not develop, but configure inside D365, have multiple people collaborate, have maybe multiple departments collaborate during that workflow, or during an import during migration or whatever. You can apply these validation rules, these enrichment rules, very easy to configure web services, for instance, in order to make sure that the data that goes into D365 is correct. So when you have your record that's correct, you want to maybe distribute it, maybe across the different legal entities within D365, but maybe also outside D365. Both possible, working with data stewards. And then what's also very important, how do I protect the data? And of course, you can seal the complete record, but you might want to have a little bit more flexibility there and allow for one field to be adjusted by someone and the other field in the same record where he or she can't do that. So we call that dynamic field security, where again, we give a little bit more flexibility to D365 users. And again, an app where you can manage all that. A lot of words from my side, but I'm here together with my colleague Eric, and he can take this slide.
Yes, thank you, Marijn, and thank you for the introduction. Yeah, what can we do then? And practically, what's happening with all those tools that we have now? Standard, you have Do-Right at your disposal. And what happens with Do-Right? Everything that changes on one side will be immediately sent over across to the other side. In this example, it's customers. So customers created on one side immediately will be sent over to the other side without any knowledge of users. Maybe additional fields in Dynamics 365 on the right need to be populated. So not a lot of control there. And what we bring then to the table is the master data management suite that Marijn just mentioned. And how that works in the different picture, let me show you. If we look at CE, there can be, and that's something that our solution already does, you create data quality checks on top of Dataverse. So, and that will be on top of CE. So making sure that the data that the user is entering the system is correct. So the customer information is correct. Validated against rules, validated against via web service, which I can show you in a moment what the setup looks like. Then when data is shared into Dynamics 365, Dynamics 365 can have many more fields than CE actually. What we there can do is have assignments for a user to say, okay, these fields you need to populate on this customer form that just came from CE to make sure that the customer is correct. And during the entry of the data again will be quality checked. This could be in a scenario where you have a master company, and then the master company can share to one or many operational companies. So an operational company will only see complete data. Data that is entered in a master company that can be shared back to CE, of course, can be synchronized again. Again, controlled. decide when you want to do this. When data is shared to the operational company could get local data that they still need to populate. Maybe there's a different credit limit in the local company compared to the master company. So that's something that you can do. And again, data quality checks take place there. That again, data is entered in the correct way according to business rules or company rules. The products that will manage all of that, and don't get scared because the products are in all kinds of different areas, but they can all be configured. So all these products that take care of that are configured in the system, and that is something that I'd like to show you what the configuration looks like. In the Data Quality Studio, you will see the different parts, but let's show that really quickly in the system. So give me a small demonstration where I have here my system, and I hope the font size is okay for you. I have here my quality management area. And in the quality management area, I have all the setup for my rules, and those are called policies in the system. And if I take a look at one of those policies that I set up, that you see here, in my policies, I have a list of different options. Let's add one, and then you see how easy it is. That is just configuration. I can select any table in Dynamics, so any table. It's not entities, it's any table. That's the configuration part. Then I will select the field, and again, it can be any field. If you have customized fields here or customized tables, I can select those. And then I can say, what shall I select? The cash discount, for example. I can make that field now mandatory. The moment there will be a cash discount, it should be populated mandatory with the record validation. The moment the user saves it or changes it. So that is two options. If I make this active, then it's from now on active, and any user that will do an update or an insert the creation of this record, the cash discount is now mandatory. So that's how easy it is. It's not configuration, not development. It will take a deployment window. No, it's there. Let's remove it for now, my setup. But we have a little bit more. We can also have configurable lookups for a field. We can check data in an external website if the domain corrects. We can check if there is a starting capital. We do some duplicate checks. Does the customer already exist with fuzzy matching or phonetics matching? We can have default values coming in. If you create a new record, automatically the delivery terms is populated. Or if I change something, another field will be act on that. So if I think this one was, if I enter a number, a specific number for a customer, automatically the currency will be changed. Those kind of things are in the quality section. And that is quite nice. And then Marijn also mentioned a controlled entry of data. Let's take a look at products for that case. So I have here, for example, my data entry workflow templates. And this is the controlled entry. That could be a task for a user to enter data. You see vendors, customers, vendor bank accounts, and also on the bottom, some products. And let's take a look at the products. This is the flow or the data workflow for a product to be entered in the system. One user, that's my assignment, has a role, will start, and that user needs to populate these fields. And if you go there, these are the two fields in a group, unit of measures. How does it look like in the system? Well, let's start it. And let's go to my release products here. And I will continue here, by the way, just a moment, because there's also warehouse details. And warehouse details are an assignment for other users. And then you have different fields. This looks like the following. You see the following fields. How this look like is the following. We have the normal new button, but this will enter a workflow. And if I open the workflow and I say this is my create product workflow, you will get a specific form with just the data that this user needs to populate. Not warehouse data, not all the other 100 fields on the product form. No, these are the fields that user needs to populate. Even you can upload pictures and documents automatically. So making sure that everything is okay. And this is also quality checked. When the user says, I've populated everything, press complete, then it will go to the next department to complete the other data. And that is then the warehouse department, purchase department, and or financial details. And it can be in parallel, can be serial process. This is actually what I wanted to show you because I didn't have a lot of time. And I will take over and I have Marijn to take over the final slides.
Thanks, Eric. I hope everything's clear. Yeah, so actually there's just one slide left. And what we wanted to share with you all was a few customer examples where we've already brought the success and sort of enabling the customer to get a grip on everything that is related to master data. So these tools are actually proven with a number of customers, and there are more, but I've put on here just a few that I think that resonate well, that I think are also active in the UK market. For instance, Biffa, and one that I've been closely working on, which is Modus Parts, which is actually a South African company, but also active in the UK. And they had their struggles. Like, all right, it's by the way a company with automotive for the automotive industry, and they had multiple departments, multiple. So they had dealerships, they had repair shops, body shops, and they had sometimes one customer. And with one customer needed to be changed in one of the companies, it needed to be populated also in the other companies. But there were these exceptions, and yeah, so that's something that can be very challenging to send across and to really govern and to make sure that not everyone can change everything. And there are multiple of these examples, and I think the key takeaway here is that the nice thing about what we deliver is that we deliver the tools again that enable you to work on this yourself. Again, establishing the integrations, maybe help you with data migrations, and when the data is in D365, how do you enrich it? How do you govern it? And then how can you potentially distribute it across the different legal entities? So yeah, that's again the key takeaway. And that's what we wanted to share for now.
Thanks everyone for joining today. I hope that was really useful. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so you'll be able to see the link to do the feedback. So the feedback form will get sent out to you. And next time, when Debbie shares her screen, we'll be able to see the next event.
There we go.
There we go. HSO ESG, Environmental, Social and Governance Reporting Framework, which is a really useful tool that we've built on top of a lot of the Microsoft Azure technologies and enhancing what Microsoft already provide.